friends. My name is Lisha Mbusi, and welcome to the very first Finance Fridays with bumb'INGOMSO. This is part of our Women's Economic Empowerment campaign that we are running this August. We're going to be having speakers every Friday giving us tips and tricks on how to get our finances together because, we need it. Today, we've got a very special guest to start us off, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, really. Hi, Quita, how are you?
Hi, Lisha. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for availing yourself to do this. Can we just get a background? Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
So my name is Quita, as you said. I'm Quita Mdebele. I'm originally from the Eastern Cape, but I'm currently based in Joburg because of my profession. I work in Joburg. I am a qualified chartered accountant by educational background. And I work in the financial services space as a regulator. So I work for the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, and I currently head up the portfolio for investment providers, and I'm the head of department in my organization for that department. Thank you.
People, we can't start stronger than that. We cannot. Who is this person? Who like okay, we cannot start stronger than that. So we've got a chartered accountant here, and I don't think there's anybody better equipped to share knowledge on financial literacy than she is. So I want to know, Twitter, what is, we talk about it, sounds fancy, financial literacy, but what is financial literacy really?
Yes, it is fancy, as you say. There's different meanings to financial literacy. Maybe if I could start off with a definition from Wikipedia that describes financial literacy as the possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allows one to be able to make financial decisions that are informed and effective, and in terms of the financial resources that you have. So simply put, financial literacy includes the confident understanding of your finances and your state of financial well-being, because it involves money matters, and how you really manage your money that you have. It could be from various sources or one source of income, or you could be self-employed, but really financial literacy is that skill that one possesses to be able to manage their finances, whether it's a diverse finance of portfolio or whether you have one source. And when we talk about financial well-being, it's quite a sensitive matter for many people in South Africa, looking at our economy and looking at how things are. And when we start knowing the basics, of finances and money matters, this is where we then get the best insight of how going forward we are able to manage our finances. So in a nutshell, that's what I could say financial literacy is.
What I'm getting is that we all need to be financially literate, really. But why do you think it's really more important for young women to be financially literate?
Sure, Lisha. I think as I've touched on my previous description or definition of financial literacy, I've said that, with our economy and how things are, financial literacy is quite important for various reasons, because our responsibilities as women are increasing, and mostly as individuals, not just women. I know the session is targeted at women, but our responsibilities are really increasing, and our economy is just at the state that it is. Many people are really not getting increases in terms of salaries, And for one, it then becomes very, very important that you are able to manage your money, whether is it looking at your debt that you currently have and paying towards that debt, and whether you are looking at building up a saving fund for certain emergencies that you could have. But financial literacy is important because it also gives you that discipline then to know how you need to manage your finances for your family, how you are balancing your spending versus the money that you earn. And mostly importantly, I think for me, financial well-being and financial literacy affects our physical and our mental being. So I can make an example. If you are living from paycheck to paycheck every month, you will always be stressed because you are struggling to make ends meet. And for me, it's also an important aspect to one's health in terms of their mental well-being, because we've seen in certain instances that financial well-being, or if you are not financially well, it leads to a lot of things in terms of people being distressed, and in terms of people getting into depression because they're just not able to manage their finances.
You spoke about how being financially literate really assists you with being a disciplined person, or being disciplined helps with being. I'm not gonna lie, personally, hectic. Discipline is a difficult thing. For me, I think that would be one of the things I would say affects my ability to be financially well, or to, being in a good standing with my finances. What do you think are some of the factors that affect young people in actually being good with their finances?
There is a lot of factors that lead to people struggling to manage their finances. And I believe for me, the number one important one is lack of proper planning in terms of your finances, and lack of proper financial education. And the reason why I'm saying that is, in most of the times, as young people, and I've also been there, when you start working and start earning a salary, you don't get into the habit, for example, of planning for your finances and understanding your basic financial needs. And we get into the edge of wanting to either buy cars now, get a house now, get that Edgar's account so that I'm able to look good. And in certain instances, really some of the things, we don't need them now. You could not necessarily need a car, and you could probably start saving enough for you to have a deposit, so that even when you get into a time where you are able to buy a car, for example, you've saved towards a deposit, and you are able then to reduce your installments. Because truly, Lisha, when we look at it, sometimes we are not affording these cars, because when you look at an installment, it's not just your car installment. There could be other, in fact, let me not even say there are other additional expenses to your car, for example, like your insurance, your day-to-day in terms of petrol, your car maintenance, and, even an emergency that could happen to your car, and you have to take out money to sort that. So I think one of the reasons we then struggle is that lack of proper financial education and financial planning, in terms of understanding exactly what are your needs versus your wants. Also, I think we don't get educated enough while we are still young about finances, about saving, about how to manage your money. For example, I give my child pocket money on Fridays for school. And, every time he will come back with nothing, literally nothing. And then when I ask, so you spent all the 50 Rand? And he'll be like, yeah. Up to a certain time, I had to sit down with him and make him understand, that when I give you 50 Rand, I don't mean you need to spend the 50 Rand at tuck shop at school. you could start putting 20 Rand aside to that toy that you want to buy at the end of the year.
Still have you.
Can you still hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
I think you are breaking up on my side.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, so when you then sit down with your child, as the example I made, to say, when I give you money, these are the principles you need to start learning, that when you ask me for that toy, for example, or when I take you out to a movie, you should also be able to contribute something towards to whatever we are doing. So for me, I think financial education has become one of the imperatives that we need to instill, even from a early learning stage in our children, at school, so that while we grow up, and raising children, raising future leaders, we are equipping people who understand the finances, because it will also help in future when they are adults, they have to enter into the work world. So I hope I've sort of answered your question in terms of the struggles to manage finances.
No, you definitely did. And I think for me, you took something so important, and you talk about when you start working, the things that you start wanting to purchase, whether you can afford them or not. Funny enough, when I think about a personal story, before even working, this is university, and I'm getting myself a store card, an account card, because I want to look cute. I want to buy stuff and whatnot. Did I know what it would mean when I'm struggling to pay off? I didn't know. Did I care
Mm,
enough to find out? No. But now, as an adult, I'm trying to get my finances together. I'm trying to apply for something, and somebody's telling me about a credit score being low.
yeah.
What's a credit score? Nobody told me about this. No one told me that me missing out and not having regular payments for that account is going to affect me. And I'm going to now struggle to get the things that actually have meaning in my life in the future. So, also just speaking on that, what is a credit score? What is a credit score?
Yeah, it's quite important what you just said, Lisha, because sometimes some of the financial decisions, or rather bad financial decisions that we get ourselves into, lead to us not being credit worthy in terms of looking at your overall credit score and the healthiness of your credit. So a credit score, if I could just define it simply, is the your personal credit files are monitored as an individual in terms of how you pay your accounts, how you manage your debt, and how the debt in your life basically is managed. And this is sourced from different credit bureaus. So they will have sort of a numerical calculation, if I can put it that way, that will determine your credit score. And that credit score is then a representative of your credit worthiness. So the credit score is, that means you cannot qualify for credit, especially credit that you need, because when we talk about credit, there's always good credit. For example, buying a house, getting credit towards a car, and getting credit, maybe towards educating yourself, like student debt. But now, if you don't have a good credit score, so they normally calculate a credit score, I think it starts from 0 to 900. So anything above 550, I think, is normally considered sort of a good credit score. And obviously, it looks at how you pay, obviously, monthly towards your credits. But a credit score, as I said, also gives you that ability to be able to obtain credit in future. So it determines your credit worthiness as an individual. And it will also help you if you've got a healthy and a good credit score to gain a stronger position when you're applying for credit. Let's make an example that you want to buy a house and you've got a good credit score. So what the banks will do is you will normally get various quotes from various banks. And when you have a good credit score, then it grants you that bargaining position in terms of being able to negotiate better interest rates, for example, either towards your car or towards buying the house, and even in your savings for a long term. When you've got a good credit score, it will also give you a better savings interest rates while you are saving for the long term. So it is quite important in terms of getting a good credit score or a healthy credit score that you are able to pay your bills on time. You pay sometimes if you are able more than just the minimum installment that you normally pay. Let's say your EDCAS account, you are required to pay 100 rand. So if you pay 150, for example, it also boosts your credit score because then you are able to pay off that account sooner. So for me, it's quite important that as people, we take note of these things, because the minute you just keep paying on account, it reflects on your profile, and it always takes time, to rehabilitate, if I could put it that way, your credit score worthiness. So it's really this basic behaviors, if I could put it that way, in terms of finances, that you pay your outstanding bills and you pay your bills on time, and where possible, you even pay more than the required installment.
I think we can also agree then, as you're saying, that it's important to build a healthy credit score for your future, because honestly, you don't know what you will want to acquire when you have secured that well-paying job and whatnot. But now, let's say I am watching you quite like, yes, this is what I need to do for my life. But I'm just in an institution of higher learning. I get some what is this, money from family once in a while. I don't necessarily have a job, or I might have a side hustle where I'm getting money here. What habits or what do I need to start doing to ensure that I'm building this healthy credit score? Is there anything that I can start doing at this point in my life?
I think what is important towards your credit worthiness, Lishe, is if you don't have a stable income, what I would advise people is stay away from wanting to open clothing accounts just because you get your monthly allowance from your parents, and then you get into the pitfall of wanting to open that jet account, and because I'm just gonna pay 100 rand towards the 500 that I get from home. So I would advise against just taking up unnecessary debts, especially store accounts, cell phone accounts. Those are the things that are really not necessary in terms of a person, especially young people. And if you have opened an account already, work towards paying and closing off that account, and also try to refrain from opening new accounts as much as possible until you either get a stable income. Even when you open a new credit account, let's say you take out a credit card, don't try to use that credit card until you reach the limit. Pay off that credit card as much as possible. And if you've already opened an account, as I said, work towards paying that account, and where possible, close off those accounts, because there are better situations where we could go and get credit, as I said, like when you want a house or you want finance towards a car. So to avoid all these things that taint our credit, especially in terms of the small accounts, cell phone accounts, or a contract, clothing account, those are really things that I could call avoidable, especially for young people.
You spoke about when we were speaking about what the reasons why young people find themselves in bad financial situations, one of the points you raised was the fact that we are not capacitated. We have not been given the
Yeah.
information or knowledge from a young age. What do you think now? Okay, now we realize what the problem is and we're seeing the results of young people not being financially literate. What do you think can be done? What more can be done to improve
Yeah.
or to help the situation?
Yeah, that's quite an important question, Lisle, in terms of what can be done to improve financial literacy. For me, I think the more we educate about finances, the more people will be able to get to a point where they are able to make informed financial decision. So we cannot run away from the fact that we need to educate people as young as they are and start financial education even in schools. I believe that when we start financial educations in schools while children are young, then it becomes a habit even in society. That people are able to manage their finances, people are able to save for rainy days, and we won't have people depending on grants, for example, when they've retired because they haven't saved up enough for retirement while they were still younger. So for me, financial education is really a number one aspect of improving financial literacy. There are so many even podcasts that are out there, people that are doing on YouTube, on social media aspects, Instagram. There's a lot of channels where people could access such education material, if I could put it that way, so that they also start teaching themselves and also getting a proper financial planner. There are people who are financial planners by profession, and this is something I should have actually said upfront, that I'm not a financial advisor and I'm not a financial planner, but because of my profession I'm able to understand those things. But coming back to your question, there are people who are financial advisors, who are professional financial planners that you can approach and sit down with, and who will look at your needs as a person and be able to advise you that, you know what, Lisha, at the stage that you are in, because you have a single income, for example, I think this is what you need to do. For example, these are the savings options you need to look at. These are the investment options that you need to look at. You need to pay your debt by so much so that you can pay it quicker, and be able to be financially free. So there are a lot of financial professional people or financial planners, and who went to school specifically for that, to help in financial planning. So it's also an important aspect to me that we should be able to use such skills to build up our financial literacy. And also, budgeting is quite important, Lishe. Budgeting in the sense that you know what your income is, and if you have various sources of incomes, you know when you get those incomes, you know what you are saving towards to, you know what your financial responsibilities are in terms of your expenses, in terms of paying your debts. So it's quite important as well that we teach people to budget. As I said, when I talk to my son now, when he's asking, either for a takeaway, I will always ask, how much do you have to put towards that takeaway? If you say you want a McDonald's for 100 Rand, help me to get, what's your contribution? And it's teaching him at an early age that, when you have money, you cannot just blow all of your money. So for me, the three things would be budgeting, financial education, and getting assistance where possible, either from a financial professional or a financial planner.
We come to the end of the session, and I honestly cannot thank you enough. I think on behalf of our Facebook friends and everybody else who will get to see this, and myself, I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to get the information you just gave us, because another important thing, like you said, there might be information out there, but sometimes we don't know where to look, you know? So we need people like you
Yeah.
to say, hey, there is help. I know you might seem like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, it's a lot, but there's help out there, and these are the places where to look. And I feel not only have you provided us with that, but practical steps on how we can actually start managing our finances better. And I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you so much, Quita.
Thank you so much, Lisha, for having me. It was a great pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye bye.